Hello friend, this is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com, and today I want to answer some questions about a video I made about how shopping in the clearance section or using coupons can be keeping you broke. And so I want to talk about things like saving money and being disciplined in your usage of money are those limiting beliefs. And this is one of those things where ethics and morality, they're not subjective. There are objective truths that are true regardless of who you are. But in a lot of daily life, there are things that you could do the exact same action, but because your heart is coming from a different place, a wrong place, or a right place, you'll get different results, and the correctness of it or incorrectness of it is based on that, not the actual action. So let me give you an example. You could give money to somebody in need, but maybe you're doing it so other people can see you. Maybe you're doing it so you can go and brag to other people about it. Your heart's not right in it. The giving of money was good, and it will help somebody, and that's good. But your heart is not right. And the reward that you will receive from it has already been received in the fact that you're going to get some praise from somebody else, or somebody's going to see you doing it. But if you did that with a pure heart and you just gave to them, not looking to be seen, not expecting anything in return, just giving to bless and help somebody in their time of need, that's right. Now, the same thing has occurred. The same action took place, and yet there were completely different results, and one was right and one was wrong. Obviously, this doesn't apply to moral actions and stuff like that. You don't take a life, there's no excuse for that, and things like that where people try to find some weird justification, and this nonsense people talk about just wars. There's no such thing. You don't take another life. It's not in your hands to do. So what if you're saving money? Is that a limiting belief? Are you doing it from a place of lack? Some people do it just because it feels like a discipline for them. And that could be a good thing. Other people are doing it, they're quote unquote saving for a rainy day. So they are expecting a bad day. They're expecting negativity in their lives, and they're saving for that. Well, that's obviously limiting. That's obviously a negative belief and not something you want to be holding to. But that doesn't mean that saving money necessarily is wrong. Now, could the saving be coming from a place of lack where you're saving money because you think there's not going to be enough in the future? That it's not assured that God's going to provide for you, so you have to save money. Well, that would be a limiting belief. A lot of these actions are neutral, and it is your mentality and your beliefs behind them that determine whether it is wrong or whether it is right. What about self-control in money usage, where you just choose for a month to discipline yourself and not buy anything? Well, that's a good thing. That's not necessarily a limiting belief. Now, if you're doing it because, well, I'm just not going to have enough this month, so I better not buy anything, that's a very limited belief. But what if you're doing it because you've noticed yourself just buying stuff randomly, and you see that pattern of consumerism being reflected in your life, and you don't want that? You want to be disciplined. You don't want to be somebody blindly consuming like the masses do. And so you choose for a month to discipline yourself and not buy anything besides obviously your food and your basic necessities, but you're not going beyond that. And you're disciplining yourself. That's a good thing. That's not limiting yourself. That's seeing that you want to improve in an area. You see an area where you're slowly getting astray, and you're redirecting your course back to the narrow way. You know, sometimes poor people especially, but middle class do it as well, they confuse abundance and God's blessing in their lives with consuming, with mere consumerism, buying more things, having more things. And there's nothing of the sort in that. You could have the clothes on your back, and yet the fact that you can get anything you wanted is because you're abundant. That doesn't mean you have to go buy everything. Doesn't mean you have to, every whim that comes into your mind, you go out and buy that new product because you're a good consumer. If anything, that's more of a limiting belief, that rampant consumerism, because it has you bowing the knee and making an idol of material things, living just a fleshly material lifestyle with zero self-control, lacking any discipline, and definitely not following in the image and likeness of God. Definitely not being an imitator of God. Definitely not becoming more like God. Do you think God's going and saying, I need that new thing? Or is he content in himself? Content in knowing who he is? And can you be content in knowing him? This should not be confused with mentalities that have like this idea that, well, all I need is God. And that sounds great in the surface, but really their heart is, I don't think I can have enough. So if I spiritualize my lack, spiritualize the limitation in my life by saying, I just need God, it makes me look like a good person. It makes me look like somebody who's full of faith, when really I'm full of doubt and wretched unbelief and don't trust in the living God. But you should be able to live without material possessions, knowing the fullness of God in your life and being abundant and blessed and know that you could have anything you want. All you have to do is believe and you'll receive. When you're walking in that place, you don't have to grab every new thing that comes across your path because you're just consuming, or because it's a lack mentality where if I don't get it now, I'm never going to be able to get it. No, I'll get it if I want it, but I don't really need it right now. And if I want it later, I'll get it. If I don't want it, I won't get it. No big deal. I could have it if I want it. I don't want it right now, so I'm not going to get it. And being in that disciplined state of mind, where you know you can have anything. You know that God is not limited. God's not lacking. But that does not mean you have to denigrate yourself into being just a consumer, to having no discipline, to just being unchecked and lacking that discipline and self-control that makes a righteous person a righteous person. So my friends, save if you want. Use coupons if you want. Shop the clearance section if you want. None of those things are bad on the surface, but if you're doing it from a place of lack, if you're doing it because you believe there's not enough, if you're doing it because you believe tomorrow there's not going to be enough, if you're doing it because you believe that God's not going to provide for you, then you're doing it from a wrong place, and that is wrong. But those things can all be fine if you're doing it from a place of abundance, a place of discipline, that you want to be disciplined. You want to make sure you're not veering off onto the consumer path of blindly consuming things, because that's what's programmed all around you. And that's what most people do. But you are a person of character and substance. You're a person who lives above that and walks in the Spirit. So my friend, keep this in mind today. We walk by faith, not by sight. We don't walk by material things. We don't just need all these material things and constantly have to cling to them. We're walking with the living God. We seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things are added unto us. We don't have to worry. We don't have to scrimp and save and be afraid and buy whatever comes our way because we're afraid we may not get it tomorrow. We have an abundance, and we can have whatever we want, and we can also live free and full of faith and power and abundance without having to get every material thing that comes our way. We're not consumers, we are producers. We produce and add value in the world, and we live in fullness and abundance of the blessings of the Lord. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.